8.5 is a motion to approve Constellation Energy, current vendor, to extend the reoccurring pricing per the attached documentation funded through various departments' utility expense accounts.
Make a motion.
Support.
Who's that? Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilwoman Rose. Is there any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Yeses have it, motion carried. Item 8.6 is motion to approve a moratorium suspending the receipt and processing of all new planned development and approval of new gas station developments for a period of 365 calendar days to commence on December 3rd, 2024 at 12 a.m. and to continue through December 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. to allow reasonable time to research and examine the need for additional gas stations as well as the location of gas stations in the city as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Make a motion.
Their support.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Witten. Is there any discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I think a year is too long. I think 3 months would be better.
Through the chair.
Councilman Johnson.
We discussed this at length at the Planning Commission. To be able to research, because our master plan is due, to do the research, to get this all on a map, to do the zoning, we thought a year would be reasonable.
Think about that. Our last master plan update was almost 20 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2006, 2007.
Maybe 5 years once. And so with all that being said, we recommended a year.
Yeah, and I did have a conversation brief with the mayor on this item. For whatever reason, the floodgates have kind of come in on this issue. And I think the concern is, do we start playing whack-a-mole, right? If we overbuild, then other facilities then go into disrepair. So it was something that the Planning Commission had asked us to do. In the past, this is an avenue that the city can do. We've done moratoriums on other things just to say, hey, we're inundated. We don't have enough staff. We don't have enough time to do research. We want to proceed in an orderly fashion. So a moratorium is a mechanism to do that. But I understand your position, 3 months.
Chairman,
Yes.
if we did only do 3 months, isn't there the option to come back and then possibly do an extension or add on additional time or do another 3 months or 6 months at that point?
I think that would be, that is certainly possible, but the motion that we have before us is a 12-month, Mr. Johnson.
So currently we have 26 in the city, and we got applications for about 7 more, and there's interest in about 5 more. So we're 26 square miles. We have 24, and we have 25 gas stations. The Planning Commission just thought it would be better to take our time and do it right the first time. So that's our recommendation.
Chairman.
Councilwoman.
So I know I talked with Laura as well earlier with just the number and asked if there was any data, like what's the per capita, like number of gas stations per number of people or square miles, and she didn't have that right now. That was one of the items they wanted to research. Has there been discussion of any other businesses? Because I know this got brought up in the last term with like storage units, and I can't remember what other type of business.
Smoke shops. Smoke shops.
You know, so has there been? I would agree. I think we have a lot, and with all that's coming, I think it's a lot given. And there's environmental concerns, right? When people put a gas station in, now you've got tanks. I mean, you've got. It's a lot different than I think a brick and mortar store that could be anything. Gas stations are kind of unique, or they are unique.
Well, you were asking,
Yeah.
that's why we did a look with Jill. I think we did a moratorium on PUDs, planned unit development.
Okay.
I remember when we first came in 2005, it was that we had a number of developments underway. There is a limited threshold of what can go through the planning department, so this comes back, to budget and personnel, and it's not necessarily, saying we're never going to allow it. It's just basically the department crying uncle
Right.
to say they're getting inundated or that they can't give equal time to other items because one or another thing is just kind of taking up all of their time. So, it has been done in the past.
So, Chair, I would just ask, like, maybe with planning, and since Charlie's the rep, maybe just explore that as well, because I think there are the storage units, I mean, there were many that were approved, and several of them that have ceased to continue, it seems like, or progress on those. The other thing, and this is through the chair to Corporation Council, I did send you, I did a little quick research last night, and there seemed to be some, do you have to do resolution, do you have to do ordinance change? So I'm good with this, but if you could just check that and not right, you don't have to do it right now. Just,
No, actually, I did look at it, because
Okay.
I saw the article, read through it quickly. But the Taylor Charter requires that the resolutions be used for matters pertaining to internal affairs or concerns in the city, which I think this would be.
Okay,
Ordinances by charter are things that usually have a penalty imposed.
Okay.
They apply more to, the public and internal affairs, so.
I know when we brought this up in last term, there was some legal questions as far as, I do know one thing is, the benefit to this one is it's time limited. It's not just a permanent, we're not allowing any more, so I do think that's seen a little more favorably. I guess I think 3 months is too short. I think 3 months happens really quick, but maybe looking at 6 months with a 6-month extension, just to, if that might be agreeable. I think a year is appropriate personally, but I think 3 months is far too short. But I don't know if we were able to do 6 months with an opportunity to bring it back for an extension, just to ensure that we give planning department what they need. I think a year is appropriate, but I'm trying to get to a win here.
Well,
What might be a
again, the motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by you, does state, till December 3rd, 2025, so I have to look to Councilman Johnson.
I would consider 6 months. I would
So-
change that.
So change that to June 3rd, 2025?
Yes.
And I have no idea where that date falls, but it's just changing December to June.
365 to,
Could you just say for a
About
period of
just a period
6
of 6
months, maybe, just, and
For
then
a
with,
period of 6 months to commence on December 3rd, 2024 at 12 a.m. and to continue through June 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m.
with an opportunity to,
Wow.
we don't need to, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Chairman,
Councilwoman, so just to be clear, that was accepted by the maker of the motion, Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilwoman Witten. So what is before us is now that 6 month. All right, Councilwoman Brandon.
I had a question through the chair to Mr. Johnson. You said there's 25 or 26 right now approximately? Okay, and then there's 7 more right now in the works? Like they've
There's 7 more approved.
approved. So what do we do with those that are
Those
approved?
go forward.
They go forward, okay.
And
The 5 more, what are they, like the application
they're
status?
no, they're not even there. They're just phone calls.
Interest,
Right.
okay,
So
so,
right now, the ones that we have in process.
In
One
process.
at North Line of Beach Daily, so saw that they've broken ground there. We've got 2 sheets, one on Telegraph, one on Eureka. Any,
I don't.
okay.
I can't recall all the others. so.
Okay.
Chairman?
Councilwoman.
Yeah, so I did, get some feedback from, a couple of businesses about, are these gas stations, are they gonna have liquor, are they going to have beer, are they going, so how does that work? So they automatically get it, I remember a long time ago, it used to be so many, but now I think, can anyone get a liquor license now, and are they allowed in all gas stations?
Yeah, there's a lot of gas stations with liquor now.
Yeah, it's controlled by the Liquor Control Commission, but as you mentioned,
It used to be,
Well, so bar liquor license is different from this, but it used to be each individual city, but then they opened it up to the entire county, and so there were a ton that were in Detroit, so what was a very expensive, but there is additional steps, I think, that the city needs to go through, because I know, the Get and Go, for the longest time, was not able to do liquor, and they had to work with the city, because there was another establishment a mile away.
so that's the,
Yeah, I think there's some other parameters, you may want to check with Laura, but there is, I think, additional review, but it's become kind of commonplace. And what's ultimately happening is the small mom and pop, 1950s, 1960s, gas stations that we kind of are all familiar with, quite frankly, they're getting a little bit long in the tooth, and they don't maintain their property. We have another issue there.
long in the tooth, I like it.
Yeah.
But that's a good example too, because the one that someone asked me about was the Sheets one, and is that the one that's gonna be like at Telegraph and between Champaign and Hayes? What's that one gonna be?
That's a sheet.
So there's a gas station right next door, there's, 1, 2 liquor stores, I mean, there's quite a few right in a row there.